What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here, PackersNews.com. Live on Facebook late Monday afternoon. The Packers have begun their organized team activities. The press and the public will not get a chance to see them until tomorrow, but I thought I'd jump on today and see what's on your mind, see if you've checked out all the good stuff at PackersNews.com. We've got a great article from Michael Cohen looking at Mike Pettin and his history of press man corners, what he's looking for out of the Packers cornerbacks, especially those young guys. Michael also did a great storyline piece looking at all the major storylines heading into these OTAs. Ryan Wood has a roster overview going up probably right now, so you check those things out. But like I said, wanted to come on, see what's up, see what's on your minds. Hello to everyone, George, Alex, Ben, everyone jumping in the comments. Hello, how are you? Tim, what's up, man? So yeah, not a whole lot. The Packers did announce the placement of a undrafted defensive tackle out of Utah on the reserved retired list. Sounds like the kid decided he didn't want to play football anymore. That happens sometimes, but outside of that, not a whole heck of a lot in the way of news. We'll probably get a lot more to talk about tomorrow. We're slated to have Mike McCarthy and open locker room, so you can bet we'll have a bunch of stuff come off of that. Make sure you're checking PackersNews.com for all the latest. Scott starts us off with, is Aaron Jones going to be the starting running back? Talked about that a lot this offseason. I tend to think Jamal Williams will start as the lead back simply because of his ability in pass protection. But as soon as Aaron Jones shows that he can hold down the fort in that regard, I think he will pass Williams. Daniel, right tackle is the biggest question mark. We talked about it last week. I actually just did a video with Ryan Wood where he agreed that that is the number one question on this team. It's clear that they're banking on Brian Bulaga providing something in 2018. It would be absolutely shocking if he were ready for week one. Perhaps they're thinking Kyle Murphy. Perhaps they're thinking Jason Spriggs. I think we'll start to get those answers tomorrow by how they line up and in what order. But it's the biggest question mark on the team. There's no doubt about it. Love to see the Packers go through the Packers Hall of Fame, the rookies. Yeah, I just saw that on Twitter. I said on Twitter, I think that's a really great idea. The Packers organized a scavenger hunt throughout the Packers Hall of Fame, whereby then the rookies were broken up into teams and then they had to present to their fellow rookies their findings, etc. I think it's a great idea. And it looks like it was Gray Rugemer's idea, who is taking over for Rob Davis as the player liaison guy. But that's a great idea. And it's good to see Gray jumping in with both feet there. Can we carry 3 running backs, a fullback, and Montgomery? No way. I don't see why not. I do think Devontae Mays is a bit of a long shot, but can they? Sure. This is a team that carried 5 tight ends once, and 3 fullbacks. They'll carry whoever they think the best players are within reason, but to completely dismiss it out of hand is pretty naive. Will Rodgers throw for more than 40 touchdowns? I'm going to go with yes. If everyone's relatively healthy, yeah. Do you think Montgomery will or should be a flex? I think he'll definitely be a Swiss Army knife of a player. I think he'll be primarily a running back, but I think they'll definitely use him in passing situations, both as a running back and as a wide receiver. John, man, how are you? Think we'll see Rodgers getting rid of the ball sooner this season after the injury last season? That's a really good question, Jerry. You know, it's funny because we've asked both Rodgers and McCarthy about how Rodgers' style of play might be altered due to now a second stint of extended absence due to his getting outside the pocket. And they're both pretty upfront that not much is going to change. I do think they'll drill it, and I think they'll it's always the intention to get the ball out of the quarterback's hand. But a lot of that is down to Aaron. He does tend to sometimes turn things down initially, wanting to get, look for the bigger play, and that happens outside the pocket. It's part of his game. It's part of what's made him one of, if not the best in the game at the quarterback position. So, how much they're going to change it, I'm sure they'll, like I said, I'm sure they'll try to, get the ball out of his hand as quickly as possible, down in and down out. But the man has made magic happen more often than not when he gets outside the pocket, and I don't expect that instinct to change much. Scott has chimed in. We don't need Dez. Very good, Scott. I'll let Packers know. Believe the Packers can get home field advantage throughout the playoffs? Christopher, absolutely. It's a possibility. I'm not going to sit here in May prior to anybody hitting anybody and say that they're destined to do so, but they're absolutely going to be in the mix. We talked about this on Friday. Some of it is obviously health is a big factor, especially these days, but getting the ball to bounce your way once or twice plays into it as well, and you have to play at a high level, and I think they're capable of doing that. I think on paper they're a really good team. It's just a question of if it all comes together, how quickly they kind of gel on both sides of the ball, and if they're playing their best football down the stretch. If they do those things, they'll be in the mix for the number 1 overall seed. Dez is a great addition. Noble has a counter view on Dez Bryant. Over under on Graham TDs. Ken, this sounds suspiciously like a fantasy football question, but I'll go ahead. I will set the over under at 7 on the season. You guys can take the over or the under. Is Moore a 1,000-yard receiver? Whew, that's a bit rich for my blood. A rookie wide receiver in this offense where they spread the ball around mightily. And it does take time to earn Rodgers' trust. I do think he's got the ability to do so, but 1,000 yards your rookie year seems a bit ambitious. Pro Bowl for Kenny Clark next season. He's definitely got a shot. He's hurt by the fact that guys like Aaron Donald and now Ndamukong Suh play his position in his conference, but now on the same team. But I think he's got a shot. Definitely. I think his play will definitely warrant it. It just depends. The Pro Bowl is a big time, especially now, is a big time popularity contest. Corbin, do we have a top 10 run game? Ooh, that's a good question. I would say if they continue down the path, the formula they hit after Rodgers went out last year, they got really inventive with some of their run game. The angle blocking, the pulling of some of the linemen. I thought, they came up with some really good stuff. James Campen, probably his best year as far as coaching guys up. How many different combinations did they have in front of Hundley last year? They were able to run the ball even when teams weren't afraid of the quarterback. So now you put Aaron Rodgers back there, you have to think they're going to be able to churn some yards out on the ground simply because of Rodgers' presence. So I think there's a decent chance that they're a top 10 running game. Thoughts on Michael Clark in year 2? Mike, I think, he's still young, still awfully raw, hasn't played a lot of wide receiver, at all, let alone in the NFL. So, I think the possibility of him being a major contributor is very small, but I do think the potential is there for him to continue to come along, continue to grow, and perhaps not be someone that's active every game and contributing down in and down out this year. But I think the possibility for development and a growing role, so to speak, throughout the season is definite possibility. I thought Mays looked like the best of the 3 running backs in preseason last season. He was my favorite runner, no doubt about it. I said it on several occasions. It's on Twitter. You can find it. I'm with you. I thought he was an absolute beast, especially between the tackles, but he was surprisingly good in the passing game, both picking up the blitz and getting out and as a receiver in the passing game. So, obviously the 2 fumbles, when you start your career with 2 fumbles right back to back, it's going to put you in the doghouse. But he's coming in with a fresh slate. Let's see what he can do, because I'm with you. I thought he looked extremely promising last summer. What is more probable, keep 2 or 3 quarterbacks? I would say 2. This day and age, with the CBA the way it is, those roster spots are pretty precious, and there's always a very good chance you can store that 3rd quarterback on your practice squad if you really want to. Where to on vacation? I am leaving for London next week, and I can't wait. Should they use the no huddle more? I always think they should jump into it sooner than they do. They've used it liberally, and I think they're really effective with it. We'll see how much more they get to it now that they're overhauling the playbook. Obviously, that's much more of a game plan thing, but they've got the ability to do so whenever they want, especially with Rodgers at the line of scrimmage. But we'll just have to wait and see on that one. 5 wide, no huddle. There you go. This is just like playing Madden. Any word on bringing back Evans or Brooks? Nothing yet. As I've said a couple times, I think they'll take a look at what they've got over these next couple weeks, OTAs, minicamp, and if they feel they need to bolster either one of those positions inside offensive line, obviously right guard and or outside linebacker, then maybe those guys get a call. Will O-line picks happen during final cutdowns? Will they pick up anybody? It's possible. It really depends on who ends up on the street. I doubt it's anyone of significance, but they're always looking. There's no doubt about that. Sean Kaiser played well against us last year. I think he beats Hundley out. I would tend to agree. Regardless of how he played against the Packers last year, I think he's a better talent, and I think he'll outplay Hundley, point blank. Will Tremont get beat out by Jackson? I highly doubt it, especially on the perimeter. If Tremont comes back and plays this year at the level he was playing at last year in Arizona, I'd be absolutely shocked. Now, I do think there's a very good chance that Alexander is their nickel corner to start the season, putting him in the slot on occasion next to Tremont. But beating him outright on the perimeter, that's a tall task. Hello from Los Angeles and Raleigh. Look, both coasts represented. Nice to see you guys. Did you watch the Cowboys All or Nothing episode against Green Bay? I did, Michael. It was excellent. NFL Films always doing wonderful work, in this case for Amazon, but if you haven't checked it out yet, I highly recommend it. And it's clear Aaron Rodgers is in the Cowboys' head, big time. I believe they should have kept Callahan, got rid of Hundley. Yeah, I hear you there, Gary. I think there's a lot of people who felt that way. Hundley was the draft pick, and they had 3 years invested in him. They wanted to see what they had, and that became pretty apparent down the stretch. Keeping 2 fullbacks instead of finding a blocking tight end? Well, Larry, what do you know about Emmanuel Byrd? You don't know. Maybe he can block. We don't know. Let's find out. Roster decisions in the final 53 are months away. Let's let these guys play out a little bit. Will all 3 rookie wide receivers make it? I'd be surprised. It all depends. It's a numbers game, and if these guys contribute on special teams and they show, ability, they've picked up the offense real quickly, and 12 trusts them, then there's a shot. But it seems like a long shot. Excited about all the changes. Yeah, well, there have been a few. There's no doubt about that. Do you think Aaron Rodgers will be out for blood in the first Packers versus Vikings game? I don't know about out for blood, Tim, but I definitely think he's got it circled on his calendar. No doubt about that. Madison at right tackle. Steve, they told us that he was going to start inside, but I would be very surprised if he didn't take some snaps at right tackle starting this week. Obviously, we haven't been privy to anything they've been doing so far, but we'll get our first look tomorrow, and we'll report back. Is it likely Aaron Rodgers has the same arm strength when he does return? That is a great question. He swears blind it's 100%, as does McCarthy. Packers have been giving it the all-go, but I don't think there's anybody who watched that game against Carolina who didn't notice that he had a little something off his fastball. 2 of those interceptions should have been touchdowns, and on a normal Rodgers day, they would have been. He is completely sworn that off. He says he's 100% now and has full range of motion and strength, but it is definitely something to monitor. I thought Yancey looked good in college. Big step forward this year. I get teased a little bit because of my man crush on Yancey, but I thought he looked really good at the end of camp last year, the final preseason game. I think he was developing nicely. We'll see how he looks this spring and summer, but I think he's been a bit of the forgotten guy in the conversation because everyone's so excited about the rookies, but his chance is as good as anyone's, except maybe Geronimo Allison to be that second wide receiver opposite Devontae Adams. It's just a question of, can he take that step, that year 1 to year 2 jump? Has he put his nose in the playbook all offseason? Is he taking that developmental step physically? Those are the answers we're going to start getting starting tomorrow. Could Taylor play right tackle? Maybe bring in Incognito? Yes, on the first part. Taylor definitely could play right tackle. I doubt they go there, but he could. And absolutely no way they bring in Incognito. Zero chance. Wilkerson plus minus 10 sacks. Whew, Don. I'm going to go minus, but not because he's had a poor year or anything. I just think that's an awful lot for an interior lineman. I know he has scaled those heights before, but I tend to think 4 or 5 sacks is realistic, especially since he'll probably be in a bit of a rotation with those other guys. But, hey, the Packers would take 10 sacks from the interior, I'll tell you that. Raji at right tackle. Now you're talking, Jeff. Gilbert going to be the story of OTAs? We'll see, Sam. The table has been set for him. McCarthy's talked him up. Gutekunst has talked him up. There's definitely opportunity there at outside linebacker. Does he take it? Does he grab it? We'll start to find out pretty soon. All right, everybody. I'm going to have to jump, but make sure you're checking PackersNews.com. Like I said at the top of the video, we got tons of great stuff for you. We've got a great roster overview from Ryan Wood. Michael Cohen's piece on press man corners is not to be missed. It's a real deep dive. He talked to a bunch of people both on Mike Pettine's staff in New York and a couple players, a couple corners from that team. And Michael also has storylines that you can follow along with during OTAs. So make sure you're checking all of that out. We've got tons of other stuff. We'll get our first look at these guys on the field, mixed in together, the rookies and the vets, tomorrow. I will be talking to the guys there in Green Bay. We'll have videos for you. We'll have all sorts of articles. Hopefully, I'm going to try and rope in some of the guys, do some of the videos maybe hopefully live, but we'll see if technology helps us. Cell service is always a problem. But regardless, I will be back on Facebook Live tomorrow, so make sure you're checking it out and all the other stuff at PackersNews.com or on OTAs. Thanks for checking it out. Barring any breaking news tonight, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks a lot, everyone.